Hey guys, this is Nick and welcome to your Linux, open source and privacy news for the month of February 2020. And this time we're going to talk about Google Earth opening to other browsers, about iOS being maybe adware, and some new interesting releases for Wine, Proton and a lot of open source software. Let's start. This video is sponsored by Linode. Linode provides Linux servers that make it super easy and affordable to host your own app, website or service right in the cloud. The interface is really easy to use and you can start your own server in just a few clicks. The best part is the one-click apps. Linode has a lot of services you can install on your server with just a click, like OpenVPN. Unlike third-party VPN services, using Linode and the one-click OpenVPN app allows you to keep total control of your data, privacy and security. For $5 a month, you can use Linode to host your own VPN and be certain that all your data is in your hands. Sign up for your free account today and get a $20 credit, which amounts to 4 months of free VPN, just by clicking the link in the description. February the 16th. Wine 5.2 was released, and it fixes a nasty bug that prevented some games from installing from Steam, mainly at the DirectX runtime component installation. It also fixes bugs for The Sims 2, Lineage 2 or Star Wars Rebellions, as well as some regular programs, cause yes, Wine can run regular old programs as I tend to forget from time to time. February the 17th. Is iOS adware? That's what an article was asking as a question, because basically Apple shows ads for most of its own services and products in most of its ads. Like Apple Arcade is heavily marketed in the App Store, Apple Music is heavily marketed in the Music app, Apple TV has a dedicated application and is also heavily pushed. So basically when your OS is trying to push its own services and its own application down your throat, is it adware or is it good marketing practices? I'm leaning on the side of adware, but you'll make your own mind. February the 19th. Mozilla, in their efforts to try and diversify their revenue sources, have launched their own VPN subscription service. This one isn't free and it's still in beta, so not everyone can join, you have to join a waiting list. And it's gonna cost $4.99 a month, which is a bit steep for a VPN service, since for this price you could rent your own server and run your own OpenVPN service. Still, they market it as more secure as OpenVPN and say that they will not collect or log any of your browsing data, which is a plus. I'll wait for it to be available in Europe and France, and I'll try it out to see if it's worth the price. February the 20th. The GDK library website has been completely redesigned with a focus on attracting developers. They now expose a few languages that can call to GDK and bind with it, and have a lot of applications exposed so people can check out what you can build with GDK itself. It's a great initiative and I think it really makes GDK shine, because that's a powerful library, it results in really good looking applications as the Elementary OS and GNOME developers prove, with the header bars and the nice interfaces, clean simple lines and simple aesthetic, and I think this library deserves more recognition. February the 21st. Proton 5.0-3 was released, and it fixes a bug for Metro Exodus which just released on Steam, so it should now work correctly on Linux. It also fixes a nasty regression that pulled your mouse cursor position too often, which resulted in loss of performance, so now your game should work a little bit better. It's already available through Steam, so just go update there. Google is now pushing aggressively its Chrome browser to Windows users. Windows users using the Chromium Edge browser will now see alerts when they try to download an extension from the Chrome portal saying that this is less secure than using Chrome. Now, since Edge is now based on Chromium, and Chromium has access to all of Chrome's applications and extensions, I don't see why using Chromium Edge would be an additional security risk compared to using Chrome, so this feels like marketing and aggressive tactics to me, which I really don't like. Let people use whatever browsers they want to use. February the 25th. Firefox started to roll out its DNS over HTTPS feature to all American users. Well, in paper it's a good feature, since it means that all DNS lookups that you make, with DNS servers being the ones that act as address books, so they link an IP address to a domain name, your browser makes these calls in HTTP, so they're unencrypted, which means that your internet access provider can access and log everything that you visited and all your browsing history. With an encrypted connection, so connecting to DNS servers using HTTPS, your internet access provider cannot log these kind of traffic. And that means that your browsing is more private and more secure. The only problem is Firefox only pushes a few DNS providers, which will put a lot of power in the hands of Cloudflare, which is the major one that they're pushing. So if they open it up to more DNS providers and leave people with the choice, or at least randomize their access from time to time, I think it's going to be a little bit better for everybody. Manjaro published version 19 of its great distribution. And, well, since it's a rolling release, existing users will probably hardly notice anything, but if you're downloading the ISO for the first time or for a reinstall, you'll get all the updates and all the new packages and new versions of applications directly in the ISO, which is always nice. Now, the main big change seems to be in the GNOME version, which allows people to choose from selected layouts. So you can switch between a GNOME Vanilla, GNOME 2, Ubuntu layout, macOS layout, Windows-friendly layout, whatever. It's kind of reminiscent of what Zorin OS offers on its Zorin OS Pro version, with a little bit of layout customization. It's always a nice feature to have, and I kinda hope that GNOME developers pick them up to allow users to completely personalize their desktop right at the start. February the 27th. The open source driver called Panfrost now has support for OpenGLES 3.0 for some Mali GPUs. What all this tech babble means is that a lot of ARM-powered devices using these Mali GPUs will now have better support for better graphics performance. For the record, a few of these devices, including Mali GPUs, are the Pinebook Pro, the PinePhone, some ARM-based computers like the Rock chip, and some Chromebooks as well. So when these open source drivers land in the core stable Mesa version, this means that all ARM-based software using these Mali GPUs will have a big boost in performance, which is always great to see. Now, Google Earth is no longer exclusive to Google Chrome. Using WebAssembly, which is basically a port from the old assembly language to the web, Google Earth is now available on Firefox, on Edge Chromium, Chromium, and Opera, which is basically every single browser out there, because if it works on Chromium, you can expect it to work on many other browsers as well. It's a weird move from Google, since they tend to restrict the web these days instead of expanding it, but having a good application such as Google Earth, which is very informative and very useful for schools and for students, and even for making videos, available on most browsers is a good point, so props to Google for that. February the 28th. OBS, the Open Broadcasting Studio, which is an open source application, has now received a new patron in the form of Facebook. Facebook actually became a premier tier member, which means that they contributed more than $50,000 to the project. While this is huge, this doesn't mean that Facebook gets any say in the project's direction or matter, they are just contributing to it. And the OBS developer has already announced that they will try and look to expand the team, which means more time spent on this software. And this one is crucial to my screen recordings and to everybody's streaming efforts, so it's always a good thing to see more money donated to these projects, even if this comes from Facebook. Wine 5.3 was also released, bringing a few bug fixes and better handling for Unicode and shell folders. The 29 bug fixed includes some bugs for Far Cry 5, Detroit Become Human, Warhammer Online or Age of Empires 3, and many, many more. This version of Wine will probably land in a Proton version pretty soon. And that's it for the news for February 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you really did like the video, I have a Patreon page. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!